Sydney Fizzard for Rebel News here in Calgary, Alberta, presenting my interview with the leader of the official opposition here in Alberta, that being the NDP leader, Naheed Nenshi, former mayor of Calgary.
No more playing stupid separatist games with the future of our province. No more disrespecting Indigenous communities. No more disrespecting Albertans.
Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about independence in Alberta as of late. How does the NDP plan to attract independence-minded voters in the next provincial election?
Well, we're fighting for Canada, as the vast majority of Albertans are fighting for Canada. And yes, of course, there are things we need to do to get a better deal. But screaming and waving your arms around and threatening to leave has never, ever gotten a toddler an extra dessert at dinner, and it's not going to get Alberta a better deal than Canada. We got to be professional, we got to be smart, and we got to understand that with all its flaws, this is the best country in the world.
And speaking of, how would the NDP differ from Premier Smith's approach on provincial-federal relations?
We'd actually get stuff done. We got a pipeline built. Premier Smith has got not 1 inch of pipeline built. We would get deals with the federal government. I think that in 15 minutes I had with the Prime Minister when he first became Prime Minister, I probably advanced Alberta further than Premier Smith has done in all her meetings. And so it's time now to be strong negotiators, but to actually negotiate, which the Premier has never shown. She'd rather fight than win.
In contrast to his remarks on Premier Smith, it's fair to say she's actually accomplished quite a bit during her time in office. Regarding provincial and federal relations specifically, it appears her approach has been sovereignty-oriented, focusing more on granting our province authority over our own matters, in contrast to making deals with the Fed simply for optics or partisan purposes. As well, I should highlight before we proceed that the Trans Mountain Pipeline project he referenced was actually a disaster due to federal regulatory setbacks and cost taxpayers billions. Following the federal government's purchase of TMX, it is now also subject to their ideological desires.
This is very, very, very good news, and I'm very pleased to see the federal government truly stepping up and showing that this pipeline is going to get built. It needs to get built. It needs to get built for the prosperity of this entire nation. It has been through rigorous environmental analysis, and we can protect the environment and build the economy at the same time. So I'm very, very pleased. However, I got to say, it's a lot of money. And I wish it hadn't come to this. And I think that if I'm Premier Morgan in the government of British Columbia, maybe I'm asking myself today, did I just cost every taxpayer in this country $4.5 billion?
Your legacy as Calgary Mayor does include some tax hikes and an increase in closed-door meetings. Is that something that we should expect when you become Premier, if you become Premier?
I never increased property taxes by 14%. You know who did? Danielle Smith.
He actually did increase property taxes by more than 14%, and he also didn't answer my question. But moving on, recent remarks from President Trump on annexing Canada have caused Nenshi to express some concern that this is a real potentiality.
The situation is very serious. And, whether we focus on the president's words around annexing Canada, around our sovereignty, the threat is very real. The economic threat is very real.
Do you still believe the U.S. may still annex Canada? And what does that say about us as a country, if that's something we can be subjected to?
Well, of course they're not going to annex us. But the fact that the Premier's response to this is to quietly curl up and start selling U.S. booze again and give Trump anything he wants certainly doesn't do great things for Alberta. This week we're hearing of 35% tariffs on agricultural goods, on all goods, including agriculture, which would be devastating to the economy. Remember the last time he said he was going to tariff us, the Premier called it a big win. Remember the last time he said he was going to tariff us, the Premier said, let's sell Kentucky bourbon again. We need much stronger negotiating. We need someone who can actually stand up to the U.S. and stand up for Alberta.
Well, when it comes to Prime Minister Carney, what do you think he needs to do for more Albertans to think that he's standing up for them?
Well, I had a good conversation with him here during the Stampede and really addressed a lot of Alberta's concerns with him. I think he gets it. I think he hears us. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. But I think he also needs to understand that if Alberta's not firing on all cylinders economically, then the country doesn't work. And I think he gets that now.
We're having a very cordial conversation, although unfortunately when I engaged with the former Premier, Rachel Notley, she called this not real news.
Rebel News is not news, and I'm not speaking to you, and I'm done. And please don't harass me anymore. Thank you.
Wow.
Very hostile.
How do you feel about that?
Well, you know, I think everyone's got to prove themselves, and I certainly hope that we have real, honest, good journalism from every platform. But, you know, I was debating partners with your founder for many years, so happy to answer questions.
And last word to you.
Well, thanks very much. Happy Stampede, everyone. We're about to kick off a summer that we're calling the Better Together Summer, and I look forward to seeing a lot of Albertans on the road.
Let me know in the comments, how do you feel about his answers to my questions? And do you think that he'll actually hold a candle to Premier Danielle Smith in the next provincial election? Let me know in the comments. For Rebel News, I'm Sydney Fizzard. RebelFieldReports.com is where you have to go if you want to support our boots on the ground journalism, bringing you real stories and presenting tough questions to those in power, not this stuff from the mainstream media that's so washed out it's not even worth watching anymore. If you want to support our work, go to RebelFieldReports.com.